Today, we begin with roads that just by looking at them send a chill down your spine. Look at that. Are we looking at a path, or is it a death trap, nestled among the impossible places? What about that stretch of rail, where the cargo on top of the train isn't just freight, but passengers? Watch as drivers place their lives in the hands of the wheel each day, navigating treacherous mountain cliffs. This is where you surrender your fate to the roads themselves. Join Hiderplanet as we witness these jaw-dropping scenes, terrifying yet awe-inspiring, so unbelievable they seem straight out of a dream. Stelvio Pass, Italy. It is a famous mountain pass in the Italian Alps, renowned as the highest paved pass in Italy at an altitude of 2,757 meters. It connects the Valtellina Valley in Lombardy with Val Venosta in South Tyrol near the Swiss border. The real challenge begins on the eastern side with a total of 48 curves numbered in reverse order towards the top. Driving here is a skill-based test at every corner. You have to shift to a low gear brake, hard steer as fast as you can, and pray that no car comes from the opposite direction. To get here, you have to travel through lush green pine forests. When you reach the summit of the pass and look back down the curves you've just navigated, look like a giant coiled snake. That's when you realize why Top Gear once called this the world's greatest driving route. Bayburt-Of Road, Turkey. Connecting Bayburt and Trabzon district is considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world. In addition, there are a total of 2938 hairpin turns, with the classic section being Derabasha Virajlara, 1317 extremely sharp turns. Every time you go around a corner, you have to shift to a very low gear and constantly check your rearview mirror for fear of oncoming traffic. The route features unpaved, gravelly sections that turn oil slick in the rain, often coupled with visibility-killing thick fog. Plan your trip for July or August. In winter and spring, this path is usually closed due to ice and snow. Many call it the Highway to Hell or Turkish Death Road, and it was even once voted the most dangerous road in the world. Actually, with enough experience and a stress-free schedule on a fine day, this drive is perfectly manageable. Los Caracoles Pass, Chile. Often known by its colloquial yet haunting name, Los Caracoles Pass, it lies between the borders of Chile and Argentina. As the vehicle began to enter the Andes from the Chilean side, the first feeling wasn't fear, but awe. Before you lies a gigantic asphalt staircase, winding its way up the sheer cliff face in the middle of unreal places. Why the name The Snail? Because from a bird's eye view, the series of hairpin turns looks exactly like the whirls of a giant snail. The summit of the pass is located at approximately 3,200 meters above sea level. The air thins, the car engine begins to roar more heavily, and your heart races. On the Chilean side, there are 29 consecutive hairpin turns characterized by a lack of protective barriers. A single error could lead to, you know. Zoji La Pass, India. A vital mountain pass situated at a high altitude in the Himalayas of India, connecting the Kashmir Valley with Leh. Famous for its narrow, treacherous roads and spectacular views of snow-capped peaks and valleys. This route is usually closed in winter due to heavy snowfall, but the Department of Highways has extended its opening hours. Mostly dirt roads, gravelly and uneven, barely wide enough for a truck and a car to squeeze past each other. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a bottomless abyss. Only white clouds and occasionally glaciers are visible. A minor landslide left the road covered in fresh rubble. It feels like off-roading instead of being on the highway. Travelers with a fear of heights or a tendency for motion sickness are advised to take a direct flight to Leh instead of traveling by land. Guoliang Tunnel Road, China. As the vehicle begins to enter the Taihang Mountains, the first sensation that overwhelms you is one of awe. Before you lies a colossal limestone wall hundreds of meters high. The Guoliang Tunnel looks like a long, winding crack carved right through the side of the sheer cliff. The tunnel here is only about 5 meters high and 4 meters wide. If two cars were traveling in opposite directions, it would truly be a test of driving skill. The Guoliang Tunnel is not just a driving challenge, but also an emotional journey. You will go from fear and anxiety to overwhelming admiration for the extraordinary labor of humankind. Passage du Gois, France. Located in Vendée, France, it connects the mainland to the island of Noirmoutier and is approximately 4.2 kilometers long. Usually, it just looks like a normal stone road with seawater on both sides and some fishing boats leaning to one side. What's amazing is that it sinks underwater twice a day during high tide. With the water rising 1 to 4 meters, the road vanishes entirely. This makes the road slippery, especially if you're riding a motorbike or bicycle. Furthermore, if you get the timing wrong, the rising tide will cause your car to break down halfway through. It's true there are life rafts you can climb, but who wants to spend time sitting precariously just waiting for the water to recede? Adding to the anxiety is the thick fog or strong winds here, with visibility practically zero. For those who enjoy thrill-seeking and want to experience something different from mountains or deserts, this is a must-visit destination. North Yungas Road, Bolivia. Known as the Death Road, this notoriously dangerous 64-kilometer route connects La Paz and the Yungas region. Its narrow path and precipitous cliffs led to hundreds of deaths each year before a safer alternative was made available. Along with the dizzying height, one side is a sheer cliff, the other a bottomless abyss up to 600 meters deep. Just a few centimeters off the steering wheel, and you will become part of this place's tragic history. There are sections of road that are only about 3 meters wide, just enough for a truck to pass through in unreal places. You might ask yourself, if there's an oncoming vehicle, where will I go to avoid it? Taroko Gorge Road, Taiwan. Officially known as a section of National Highway 8, it is a stunning scenic route within Taroko National Park in eastern Taiwan. Famous for its majestic marble cliffs, winding river, and breathtaking scenery. Many stretches are so narrow that two cars meeting must either edge right up against the cliff or pull into a rocky niche to make room. The road has dozens of tunnels of varying lengths, many without streetlights. If you drive in, it's pitch black. All you can see is your own headlights and the hope that no oncoming car has broken high beams. Small stones may tumble here in the dry season, but heavy summer downpours can dislodge enormous rocks. Inexperienced with mountain roads, avoid driving yourself. Stick to tour buses or local drivers for better safety. Skipper's Canyon Road, New Zealand. If there's one place where car insurance companies will immediately reject you, it's here. This road isn't for the faint of heart or the dreamy driver. As soon as you enter the canyon, the paved road disappears, replaced by a slippery, dusty gravel surface. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a chasm hundreds of meters deep, leading straight down to the emerald green shot of a river. The challenge narrow, single-lane cliff roads. Encountering another car requires a perilous 100-meter reverse to the nearest turnout. The highlight of the journey is the Skipper's Suspension Bridge, completed in 1901. At nearly 100 meters above the water, the gentle swaying of the bridge makes anyone hold their breath. Fairy Meadows Road, Pakistan, a notoriously narrow, unpaved, and dangerous 16-kilometer jeep trail runs from Raikot Bridge to Tato Village. This trail leads to the stunning Fairy Meadows and the summit of Nanga Parbat, accessible only by a local 4x4 vehicles. It offers breathtaking scenery, but requires skillful driving on the steep roads. My heart pounded every time the car bounced over potholes and every time I had to swerve sharply to avoid falling rocks. Despite the rumors, Jeep accidents or cliff falls are actually quite rare. But once inside the vehicle, the feeling of danger is extremely real. Is it worth it? Absolutely, if you crave real adventure. Just don't drive yourself, trust the local drivers, and stick to the official jeeps. Northern Explorer, New Zealand. This isn't a fast-paced, high-speed train ride. It's a leisurely stroll through the heart of the North Island. As the train enters the Central Highlands, the scenery changes dramatically from lush green meadows to a wild, untamed landscape. You'll see the stern of your own train at a different height amidst unreal places. It's like a brainy game by 20th century engineers, transforming the dangers of the terrain into a graceful dance on the tracks. This trip isn't for those with a severe fear of heights, especially if you look straight down as the train crosses viaducts like the Macoheen. The ship glided over massive steel bridges below which lay bottomless ravines and a raging river. This moment evoked both excitement and awe at the insignificance of humanity amidst the vastness of nature. Guoliang Pass, Vietnam. Dubbed the King of Passes. This treacherous mountain pass stretches for approximately 20 kilometers on National Highway 4C. It offers an adventurous experience and pristine natural beauty, making it a highlight of the UNESCO Dong Van Karst Plateau. The road is narrow, only wide enough for one car in some places, and many sections lack guardrails or have weak guardrails. Constant hairpin turns and steep grades make it easy to lose control if you aren't used to manual gears or have weak brakes. Light rain causes slippery tracks, while thick fog limits your view to a mere 5 to 10 meters ahead. Inexperienced riders on faulty rental bikes often speed and misjudge curves, risking a fall into the abyss. I witnessed a few minor accidents, thankfully none were serious. Death Railway, Thailand. This is not just a train ride, it's a journey through history, suffering, and the astonishing resilience of humanity. Stepping onto the old wooden train carriage at Kanchanaburi Station, the first feeling wasn't fear, but an indescribable sense of unease. The rumbling of the engine and the pungent smell of engine oil transported you back to the 1940s. Famous for the death curve, where the train slows down to approach the wooden bridge clinging to the side of the limestone cliff. To the left is a sheer cliff, so close you feel like you could touch the rough rock surface just by reaching out. To the right lies a deep gorge with the turquoise River Kwai flowing turbulently below. The slight tilt of the ship, the wood groaning under the weight of steel, that is the moment you realize the fragility of this structure. James W.B. Dalton Highway, U.S. With a length of approximately 414 miles, it runs from Livengood straight up to Deadhorse/Prudhoe Bay, where the Arctic oil fields are located. It's renowned as one of the most dangerous and isolated roads in North America, and perhaps even the world. In summer, dust billows everywhere. In winter, ice and snow fill the air, winds howl, and temperatures can easily drop to -40 degrees Celsius. Mostly gravel roads, only 40% asphalt. Drive slowly 40 to 50 miles per hour tops to save your tires and windshield. Oil tankers are the road kings, always running. Give them space and stay back. They're known for kicking up debris like you saw there. There's a section at Guoliang Pass, the highest pass, steep slopes, sharp turns, and incredibly slippery in winter. Pamban Bridge Route, India. Imagine you're sitting on a dilapidated train carriage, the clatter of steel wheels hitting the tracks. Instead, there's a thin, nearly 2.3-kilometer long strip of railway track running straight out into the vast Indian Ocean between unreal places. The first thing you feel isn't the speed, but the power of the wind. As the train crawls slowly across the bridge, you'll see the carriage tilt slightly and hear the wind whistling through the gaps in the doors. Looking down, the deep blue sea was only a few meters from the deck. There were no sturdy railings, no dividing barriers. All you saw was rusted steel corroded by the sea salt and waves crashing against the bridge's pillars. It was a combination of pristine beauty and extreme fear. The Pamban Bridge is not just a transportation route, it's a dramatic drama of humanity's confrontation with nature. Nariz del Diablo, Ecuador. It is a historic railway, known as one of the most challenging railways in the world, located in the province of Chimborazo. The train ascends or descends a steep slope using a winding track system that snakes through the rock formations. Many older reviews call it one of the most dangerous trains in the world, due to its construction history, which claimed over 2,000 lives. Plus, the tracks are winding steep, and in many sections they cling to the side of a mountain. It feels like playing a game of life and death, your heart pounding, but the view is so beautiful you forget all fear. Now, after reopening, they've made many safety improvements. You sit inside the train carriage. You're no longer allowed to climb onto the roof. Tickets cost around $30 to $33 for adults departing from Alausi, and the journey takes approximately 2 to 3 hours, including stops. Train to the Clouds, Argentina. If I had to use one word to describe this road, I would use the word breathtaking. The most iconic highlight is the La Polverilla Viaduct in unreal places. At an altitude of over 4,200 meters above sea level, you are truly at eye level with the clouds. What impressed me most was the zigzag system and the spiral loops. The train didn't go straight, but reversed and then moved forward to climb the slope without the need for cogwheels. As the train hurtles past the very brink of the cliff, the metal shrieks against the rails, a sound of pure terror and excitement. Bernina Express, Switzerland. A famous scenic train journey through a UNESCO World Heritage Site connecting Switzerland and Italy. This route runs between Chur or St. Moritz in Switzerland and Tirano in Italy, offering breathtaking views of the Alps. At an altitude of 429 meters, the train ascends straight up to Ospizio Bernina at 2,253 meters without the need for cogwheels. A gradient of up to 7% is an insane figure for traditional railways. You'll feel the engine's sheer force as it hums up the steep alpine slopes through the thin mountain air. While on board, you'll clearly feel the power of the engine as it relentlessly conquers the steep slopes amidst the vast expanse of the Alps. Along with that is the death curve, where the train stops at a small station perched precariously on the side of a mountain. The feeling is one of sheer cliffs on one side and a deep abyss overlooking the Posciavo Valley and the Palu Glacier on the other. The wind here blows very strongly, and the contrast between the stillness of the ice creates an extremely dramatic atmosphere. You will feel incredibly small and breathless in the face of Mother Nature. It's the perfect blend of fear and breathtaking beauty. Kuranda Scenic Railway, Australia. If you're expecting a smooth, modern train ride, forget it. This is a journey back in time where you sit in wooden train carriages over 100 years old. As the train slowly rolls across this arched bridge, it feels as if it's suspended in midair. Looking out the windows, a cascading waterfall and a deep abyss stretch below, while the train is only a hand's breadth from the cliffs. This is a magnificent blend of 19th century engineering and the harshness of nature. You'll feel incredibly small, nestled between sheer cliffs on one side and a deep valley on the other. If you go, choose a seat on the right side of the train carriage for the best view of the gorge and the scenic curves. Denali, Star, Alaska. Imagine waking up at sunrise, the cold air of Alaska penetrating every pore, and then getting on a glass dome tour bus for sightseeing. The vehicle began to roll from the park entrance, moving away from the crowded area and deeper into the unspoiled wilderness. This route, approximately 92 miles long, winds through valleys, crosses 4 mountain passes, and runs parallel to the majestic Alaska Range. It's not an ordinary highway. It's a slow, challenging journey. The bus has to drive slowly here because of the rough terrain, rock slides, and breathtaking curves. The path lacks guardrails in many sections, being just a narrow strip of land running along the mountainside with a deep abyss below. Heavy rains can cause landslides, most famously the Pretty Rocks landslide at mile 45.4, where the road surface shifted by several meters, forcing the park to close a long section of the road. Strong winds, sudden snowfall, and even minor earthquakes, because this is a geological fault zone, can shake the entire road. Iron ore train, Mauritania. This is a vital lifeline, over 2 kilometers long, connecting the Zouérate ore mine with the port of Nouadhibou. As the train majestically pulls into the station, you'll feel incredibly small. With over 200 carriages filled with dark black ore dust, it resembles a giant steel python slithering across the sand. The locomotive's engine roars like thunder, shaking the ground beneath your feet. To really experience the soul of this journey, you skip the cramped passenger seats. You choose to ride out in the open, right on top of the ore cars. The first sensation was the fine iron ore dust seeping into every fiber of the fabric, clinging to the skin and filling every gap in the safety glasses. Plus, there's a strong metallic taste in my throat and the pungent smell of dried machine oil. It's bare, dusty, and full of risks, but it offers a sense of absolute freedom that no 5-star hotel can provide. White Pass and Yukon Route, Canada. Departing from Skagway, Alaska, and crossing the border into Canada, the train travels to White Pass Summit. The narrow tracks built in 1898 during the Klondike Gold Rush give it a strong sense of wild history. It's not dangerous in terms of safety risks or crashes, but rather the nerve-wracking kind that triggers people with acrophobia. As you ascend from Skagway, the scenery is more tranquil, with pine forest streams and small waterfalls. But the part that makes people scream is the dangerous peak section of the train. The train runs very close to the cliff, face the tracks only about 3 meters wide, cutting into the granite rock. In several places, you can look down into a chasm hundreds of meters deep, with no railings or barriers whatsoever. Many people say this is one of the most scenic yet scary train journeys in North America. Georgetown Loop Railroad, USA. The most breathtaking moment is when the train rolls across the Devil's Gate High Bridge. Looking out the open train window, you'll find yourself suspended about 30 meters above the Clear Creek Valley. The feeling of the bridge gently vibrating under the weight of the tens of tons of steam locomotives is a true psychological test. Combined with the extremely harsh Rocky Mountain terrain, this route is characterized by constant curves. You can clearly feel the friction and the locomotive's effort as the iron wheels grind loudly against the rails on a tight curve. On either side of the railway tracks are sheer cliffs and deep ravines. There are sections where the cliffs are so close you feel like you could touch them. Below, the Clear Creek stream rushes through the boulders. The Georgetown Loop Railroad isn't dangerous in the sense of being unsafe, but rather challenging the limits. It tells the story of how humans used steel to conquer seemingly impossible cliffs. Kahekili Highway, USA. This is a famous, picturesque, and extremely treacherous road located on the island of Maui, Hawaii. It is often referred to as the Maui Death Highway. Due to its dangerous conditions, including narrow sections and blind curves. The road was only about 1.5 car width, narrowing to less than 3 meters in many places. On one side was a sheer cliff, on the other a chasm plunging straight down into the sea. No guardrail, no protection whatsoever. The scariest thing is blind corners. You don't see oncoming vehicles until they're right in front of you. I once encountered a small truck coming from the opposite direction, and both vehicles had to stop. Take this route if you are confident, driving on narrow mountain roads, comfortable reversing far, and not afraid of heights. And it's best to go early in the morning or midday, avoiding late afternoon, because the light is weak. BR-116, Brazil. The BR-116 road doesn't evoke excitement at first, but rather extreme tension. It connects Fortaleza to the border of Uruguay, but the most terrible part is the mountains between Curitiba and São Paulo. Driving here feels like playing a survival game. Hairpin bends appear constantly on the steep, hilly terrain. Just a slight mistake, a moment of inattention, and the car could plunge hundreds of meters into a ravine. The scariest thing isn't the road, but the traffic density. Thousands of massive trucks carrying goods roar through the night and into the morning. Truck drivers here often face tremendous time pressure, swerving into other lanes and overtaking recklessly on blind curves. The echoing horns against the cliffs are the most haunting sound you'll ever hear. Look at these majestic mountain ranges. A structure stands tall, defying every limit of human fear. There are no fences here and no insurance for the work you do. This isn't just a construction site, it's a war between man and the wild. These lands remain almost untouched on the world map.
Push it forward. Watch your step.
So why do they risk their lives on these cliffs? What makes this the most dangerous site of the entire journey? Today, join us as we explore impossible places where the line between life and death is as thin as a breath. Moki Dugway. If Highway 163 in Utah offers a romantic cinematic feel, then Moki Dugway is a gritty, dramatic rock soundtrack. It was built in 1958 by Texas Zinc Minerals. The objective was to transport uranium ore from the Cedar Mesa mine to the processing plant in Mexican Hat. They needed to connect the flat plateau above with the deep valley below, which was separated by a sheer cliff over 360 meters high. With gradients reaching up to 10%, this is an extreme challenge for the braking system of any heavy truck. To climb the Cedar Mesa cliff, the road is a continuous series of winding turns. The hairpin bends are so tight that your vehicle seems to be suspended in mid-air. Between the sheer cliffs and the abyss, the only sound was the crunching of gravel under the wheels. Taroko Gorge Road. It is a road that cuts through Taroko Gorge with limited access and many popular tourist routes. Established in 1956, it was built mostly by veterans, former soldiers who once held rifles, now wielding hoes, shovels, sledgehammers, and hand drills. using a method of drilling directly into the cliff face, creating tunnels and ledges to grip the rock face. Where drilling is not possible, ropes are lowered from the mountaintop to break the rock from above. This road is a symbol of the silent sacrifices of generations of veterans. Many of them have no family, no hometown, and consider Taroko their second grave. Currently, this section remains one of the most beautiful and dangerous roads in the world, frequently closed due to rock slides. Skipper's Canyon Road. Impossible Places originated during the 1860s gold rush in Shotover Valley. At that time, transporting heavy machinery deep into the canyon was an impossible task. The most astonishing aspect is that this road was carved almost entirely by hand using explosives and pickaxes. The engineers of that era faced the challenge of sheer slate cliffs. Rather than using explosives for total destruction, they hewed a ledge into the rock wall, providing sufficient clearance for carriages. The road was nestled between cliffs hundreds of meters high, with the turbulent Shotover River flowing below. A mistake of just a few centimeters could have meant tragedy. Keikili Highway. As one of the world's most classic and terrifying cliffside roads, it's often referred to as Maui's Death Road. This road is not just a transportation route, but also a living testament to human audacity in conquering harsh terrain. Construction began in the 1930s, when technology was very rudimentary compared to today. The road was carved and dug deep into the rocky cliffs along the northern coast of West Maui, with sheer cliffs on one side and a chasm plunging straight down into the ocean on the other. There are no barriers on most of the dangerous sections, no guardrails, and many curves are at their most treacherous points. Originally, this road was probably just a local dirt path or dirt road, but it was upgraded to a paved road around the 1930s. Bayburt-Of Road, 915. Unlike modern roads designed using supercomputers, the D915 has a fiery and tumultuous origin. It was built by the Russian army in 1916 during the invasion of Trabzon, located in the Impossible Places. The most terrifying highlight of the D915 is the Zoji La Pass. Imagine facing 29 hairpin bends. The bends are so sharp that a normal truck would struggle to maneuver in a single turn. The lack of guardrails is the selling point of this path. A small mistake means a free fall of hundreds of meters into the abyss. Humans have had to conquer altitudes of over 2,000 meters above sea level by traversing sheer cliffs. Col du Chaussee, France. Imagine you're in the Maurienne Valley, looking up at a nearly vertical cliff, several hundred meters high. In 1900, people had only just begun to envision connecting these tiny highland villages, which back then were accessible only by mule tracks. Construction actually began in 1928, and it took 6 years to complete the 3-kilometer section stacked on top of each other. Remarkably, they had to carve into the almost vertical cliff face, creating retaining walls just wide enough for one vehicle. Workers toiled by hand, using explosives, shovels, wheelbarrows and ropes in the harsh alpine weather conditions. Now, smoothly paved, this road has turned into an iconic destination for bicycles, motorbikes, and adventurous car owners. But every time you drive past, you can still feel the daring of the builders nearly 100 years ago. They transformed a seemingly impenetrable cliff into a road that thousands of people admire every year. Bayburt-Of Road. One of France's most famous balcony roads. It's known for being carved directly into the limestone cliffs of the Vercors Massif. Located in the Drôme department, this route connects Saint-Jean-en-Royans with the Col de la Machine Pass. Imagine the 1860s, no modern excavators, no GPS technology. Workers had to dangle on ropes between sheer cliffs to drill holes for explosives. The most distinctive feature of Bayburt-Of is that its sections are neither quite tunnels nor quite open air. On one side is a towering cliff, on the other, a deep abyss with a natural rock arch overhead. Black Bear Pass. Built in the late 1800s, it was primarily to serve the Black Bear Mine, a silver, gold, and lead mine located in the Ingram Basin. At that time, Colorado was experiencing the peak of the San Juan Mountains gold and silver rush. There was a need for a route to transport ore from the mines to lower elevations or to connect with other areas. The path runs along a sheer cliff hundreds of meters high above Bridal Veil Falls. The most notorious section is the narrow switchback right above the falls. The road was only wide enough for a jeep with a sheer cliff on one side and a chasm hundreds of meters deep on the other. This is a vivid example of the saying, "People can achieve anything when they have enough motivation." $1 Million Highway. The 25-mile stretch of US 550 between the historic mining towns of Silverton and Ouray, Colorado. Famous as one of the most beautiful but also most dangerous roads in North America. The road winds through the San Juan Mountains with numerous hairpin bends and steep inclines. Some people claim that the cost of building or upgrading the road in the 1920s was as much as $1 million per mile. Legend has it that the earth and rocks used to build the road contained gold and silver ore worth millions of dollars. The name alludes to the stunning million-dollar views around the mountain ranges and valleys. There's a local joke that they wouldn't drive through here again, even for $1 million, because the road is too dangerous. James W. Dalton Highway. Dubbed one of the world's most legendary and challenging roads, it was built in Alaska, USA. It's not just a transportation route, but also a symbol of resilience in extreme conditions. The road, approximately 666 kilometers long, runs from Livengood all the way to Dead Horse near the Arctic Ocean and is mostly gravel. It was built mainly to support the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System and the vast oil extraction project at Prudhoe Bay. Launched in 1974 and finished in only 5 months, an incredible feat of speed, considering the scale and limitations. Most of the road is built on permafrost. They don't dig deep or use traditional foundations. Instead, a thick layer of soil and gravel is used as thermal insulation to keep the ground ice from melting. Trollstigen. It wasn't simply an infrastructure project, it was a declaration of war against the terrain. Until 1936, only the boldest shepherds dared to navigate the steep and perilous tracks of this area. The decision to build a winding road through a sheer cliff with a 9% gradient in the early 20th century was a calculated risk. It demonstrates the Norwegians' forward-thinking vision for tourism and trade in the impossible places. Meanwhile, in a context where modern machinery was not yet widespread, much of the road was carved and built by hand. Workers had to hang themselves from cliffs to place each block of stone, creating sturdy retaining walls. In addition, every year, nature gifts them with avalanches, destroying part of their hard work and forcing them to start over. Stelvio Pass. Located in northern Italy, it's the Eastern Alps' highest paved pass and the second highest in the entire Alps. Famous for its spectacular hairpin bends in South Tyrol. This is a dream destination for drivers, bikers, and cyclists, often referred to as the most amazing road in the world. The man behind this masterpiece was the Italian engineer Carlo Donegani, a true genius. He designed the road with 48 hairpin bends stacked on top of each other like giant steps clinging to the sheer cliff face. Construction took 5 years and employed 2,500 workers, a colossal number at the time. The curves were calculated with extreme precision so that the carriage could turn around without falling into the ravine. Los Caracoles Pass. Viewed from above, Los Caracoles looks like a giant spring that someone dropped into a ravine. The construction of this road was a real battle between civil engineering and Mother Nature. Engineers had to contend with altitudes exceeding 3,000 meters above sea level. At this altitude, the thin air reduces the efficiency of machinery and the endurance of workers. To navigate the sheer cliffs without the vehicles running out of steam, it was impossible to drive straight. Unlike modern bustling highways with tunnels through mountains, Los Caracoles retains a pristine and adventurous beauty. For a long time, this road was famous for its lack of safety barriers, requiring drivers to have nerves of steel. Atlantic Road. This is an 8.3-kilometer stretch of National Highway 64 connecting Avery to the mainland and includes 8 bridges. The construction process was a crazy but incredibly impressive story. Beginning in 1983, the project lasted 6 years instead of the shorter period planned due to the area being hit by 12 major storms. It had to be halted several times, equipment was swept away by waves, and workers had to be evacuated. This isn't the most dangerous road, but it's the most provocative of all civil engineering projects. The route is now free part of the Norwegian scenic routes and is still regularly maintained to withstand the Nordic weather. Shaban Cliff Road. Before the road was built, Thakbanha village was like an island in the sky. Surrounded by sheer limestone cliffs and deep ravines, the only means of connection for the locals is through narrow trails. What astonished experts was the construction method used in impossible places. In such extreme terrain, modern machinery was almost useless in the initial stages. The road wasn't built on the mountaintop or at the foot of the mountain, but carved deep into the side of the cliff. This required precise geological calculations to prevent mass landslides. It took many years of hard work, every meter of the road steeped in sweat and sacrifice. Today, this road has become a magnet for thrill seekers. Guoliang Tunnel Road. In 1972, the village of Guoliang was nestled atop a mountain, completely isolated. There is only one narrow path carved into the cliff for the villagers to get out, a path where a single misstep means death. Then there were 13 men in the village who had no modern equipment, no budget, only sledgehammers, chisels, and an iron will. They chiseled away centimeter by centimeter through the hard rock of the nearly vertical cliff face. In total, they used 4,000 hammers, 12 tons of steel, and countless worn chisels. Without drills, electricity, or lights, they worked by hand under terrible conditions, and at least one person died during the construction. From a deadly isolated place, it has become a globally renowned tourist destination. It has been dubbed the road that doesn't forgive mistakes, or the most beautiful and dangerous tunnel on the planet. Test Pass. Built by the French in the 1920s to connect Marrakesh with the Sousse Plain. The road ascends to an altitude of approximately 2,093 meters. Imagine moving rudimentary machinery from a century ago up sheer cliffs where the air thins and the weather changes. The engineers chose not to avoid the obstacle. They chose to carve the path directly into the monolithic cliff face. The result is a narrow, winding strip of land with sheer cliffs on one side and a deep, unguarded ravine on the other. Along with those deadly curves, just a small mistake in steering or braking can cost you dearly. Karakoram Highway. This is the world's highest paved international highway, connecting Pakistan and China. Famous for its majestic natural landscapes and dubbed the eighth wonder of the world due to its challenging construction conditions. It is approximately 1,300 kilometers long, of which 806 kilometers are in Pakistan. Connecting Hassan Abdal with Kashgar in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Reaching a maximum altitude of 4,714 meters near Kunjarab Pass, the world's highest border crossing. At the same time, it is also a costly lesson about the price of development. Hundreds of families lost loved ones. Many workers were injured, all to connect two countries with a fragile strip of asphalt. Even today, the route is constantly blocked by landslides, flash floods, and moving glaciers, proving that nature has never truly given up. Furthermore, it is the strongest declaration of Sino-Pakistani friendship since the 20th century. And today, it is the most important part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. One trip down the kh, and you'll see why they call it a world wonder and the world's most beautiful death road. North Yungas Road. This road didn't begin with the flashy blueprints of modern urban engineers. It was built in the 1930s during the Chaco War. Paraguayan POWs were the ones who directly labored to chisel away at the vertical rock faces of the Andes Mountains. Imagine you're trying to carve a trench into a rock wall thousands of meters high. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a chasm 600 meters deep, with no barriers, no roadside. Many sections are only about 3 meters wide, just enough for a truck to pass through. This is the only place in Bolivia where people drive on the left, so that drivers can see how close their wheel edges are to the abyss. Wuxi Cliff Road. Also known as the Lanying Cliff Highway, it is a famous cliffside road. Famous for being located in the Lanying Grand Canyon in Wuxi County, Chongqing City, China. The road was carved by the villagers of Zoji themselves to connect their remote village to the outside world. Construction took approximately 15 to 20 years, beginning in the mid-1980s and completed in 2001. The road is approximately 1.2 kilometers long and carved directly into the sheer cliff face. It is extremely narrow, usually only wide enough for one vehicle to pass at a time. Located nearly 1,000 meters above the canyon floor, this spot offers spectacular views. You can drive from Chongqing to Wuxi County, then continue to the canyon entrance. Kolyma Highway, connecting Magadan and Yakutsk. The road stretches approximately 2,000 kilometers through some of the coldest regions on the planet. The road is carved directly into sheer cliffs and permafrost. Construction on permafrost is an engineering nightmare. Imagine much of this road was built during the Stalin era, using pick shovels and wheelbarrows. There were no modern excavators, just human strength, battling hard rock and freezing temperatures. This road was built by prisoners of the Gulag re-education camp system. Due to the extremely harsh conditions and the ground frozen solid, like rock-digging graves, was impossible. Instead, the fallen prisoners were buried directly beneath or beside the road as it was being built up. Bayburt-Of Turkmenistan. Located in the Karakum Desert of Turkmenistan, this massive man-made sinkhole has been leaking burning methane gas for decades. The Soviet authorities deliberately set it on fire, hoping it would burn out on its own within a few weeks, but nobody knows for sure. To get here, you'll have to cross hundreds of kilometers of vast desert with no cell phone signal and not a soul in sight. As the sun sets amidst the eerie silence of the Karakum Desert, a blazing orange glow appears on the horizon. It's unlike any urban light. It's a primal and menacing light. This isn't just a fiery pit, it's a symbol of Soviet-era resource waste and of human adventure in facing hell. If I could go back, I'd still go down again, even if only to witness it one last time before it dies out. Would you dare? Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. If there's one place on Earth that makes people question whether they're still on the blue planet, it's the Danakil Depression. This region is not only one of the lowest places in the world, but is also known as the harshest place on the planet. Instead of the vibrant green of life, this place greets them with a surreal landscape of dazzling yellows and vibrant orange reds. Deep within lies a visual illusion of rising salt columns, bubbling acidic hot springs, and mineral formations resembling coral reefs on land. Behind this dazzling beauty lies a pungent, sulfurous smell and scorching heat, often hovering above 45 degrees Celsius. This is not a place to relax. This is a place to contemplate the extremes of nature. And this is definitely a journey for souls yearning for the primal, those who want to see the world in its most pristine and intense form. Devle, Namibia. To reach Devle, you must navigate deep shifting sand dunes, a challenge only four-wheel drive vehicles can handle. After walking about 1.1 kilometers, you'll find yourself in a pristine white clay basin, surrounded by the world's tallest, vibrant red sand dunes. The most haunting and captivating feature is the black, uncorroded tree trunks. It is a deadly, yet proud beauty, a testament to a time thousands of years ago when it was a lush green oasis. Be here at dawn to avoid the 40 degrees Celsius heat and catch the legendary golden light. Don't forget to bring high-top hiking boots to protect yourself from the hot sand and plenty of electrolyte water. And above all, walk slowly, because every step on this clay basin is like treading on the traces of millions of years of history. Socotra Island, Yemen. Nestled amidst the deep blue waters of the Indian Ocean, Socotra stands out unlike any other place. The first highlight upon arriving here is the Dragon's Blood tree on the Diksam Plateau. From a distance, they resemble giant, inverted umbrellas or enormous mushrooms rising from the barren limestone. Don't forget the walk on the pristine white sand dunes here, where the towering sands create an extreme visual contrast. Without luxury hotels or dazzling neon lights in Socotra, you have to get used to camping and bathing by freshwater streams. This place makes you realize that the lack of modern amenities is actually its unique characteristic. It forces people to reconnect with nature and learn to listen to the island's rhythm. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Yemen is an island in the Indian Ocean, famous for its unique, alien-like landscape and extraordinary biodiversity. Dubbed the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean, due to its large number of endemic species with nearly 700 plant species. Stepping out of the 4x4, they were surrounded by a dazzlingly pure white landscape. Beneath your feet is not sand, but a thick, dry, and cracked layer of salt, arranged by the hand of a great architect. During the dry season, the only sound is the crunching of salt crystals underfoot. If you're lucky enough to visit during the rainy season, you'll witness a spectacular phenomenon. It's a thin layer of water covering the salt flat, turning the entire area into the planet's largest mirror. Chocolate Hills, Philippines. It is Bohol Island's most iconic landmark and a must-see destination for anyone exploring this spectacular land. It comprises over 1,200 conical hills stretching across numerous towns, creating a mesmerizing landscape. The most interesting thing that visitors realize is that the name Chocolate Hill didn't come about by chance. During the rainy season, the hills are covered in a lush green carpet of grass. However, when the dry season arrives from around January to May, that layer of grass withers and turns dark brown. From above, the more than 1,200 hills now look exactly like giant chocolate kiss candies placed on a vast green tray. To get the most panoramic view, you must overcome the challenge of climbing over 200 steps to the top of the observation deck. You should prepare a hat and jacket to protect yourself from the tropical sun, which can make you feel exhausted. Pamukkale, Turkey. In the Menderes River Valley, there's a wonder that makes anyone visiting for the first time rub their eyes in disbelief. With the Aegean sun shining brightly, that pristine white color isn't snow, but the result of millions of years of calcification. Before entering, you must remove your shoes, as this is a mandatory rule to protect the soft limestone formations. The higher you climb, the more surreal the Pamukkale landscape becomes, but what truly amazes visitors is not just the geology. Right at the top of those white steps lies the ruins of the ancient city of Hierapolis. You can immerse yourself in the crystal-clear water, swimming among the crumbling Corinthian columns at the bottom of the lake. Island of the Dolls, Mexico. It is a dark and eerie tourist spot, famous in the Xochimilco canals near Mexico City. This place is full of decaying dolls, hanging from the trees left behind by the previous caretaker. And the story behind the island is really sad, but also quite creepy. When you come here, you can walk around for 45 minutes to see the dolls and listen to the stories. Stepping deeper into the island, one feels a strange pressure. The dolls are no longer toys. They have been deformed by time, sun, wind, and mold into grotesque figures. Whether real or imaginary, the atmosphere here, thick with melancholy and sacredness, commands respect from everyone. Hand of the Desert Chile. In one of the driest places on Earth, the Atacama Desert, stands a colossal rock sculpture known as the Desert Hand. Behind the Desert Hand is Chilean sculptor Mario Irrazabal, who created La Mano del Desierto, or the Desert Hand, in 1992. Although this sculpture is located quite far from any populated area, it's not difficult to find. Most visitors start by going to the nearest town, Antofagasta, about 72 kilometers from the site. From Antofagasta, you can take a shuttle or taxi south, which will take you directly to La Mano del Desierto. However, please remember to show respect and do not damage the sculpture by drawing or writing graffiti on it. This way, others can continue to admire its beauty for many years to come. Lake Hillier, Australia. At just 600 meters long, it impresses not only with its size, but also with the diversity of life within it. Lake Hillier captivates with its pink hue, and moreover, it's situated right next to the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, if you look from above, the contrast between the soft pink of the lake and the blue of the ocean is striking. It was first discovered in 1802 by navigator and cartographer Matthew Flinders, who sampled it from the lake and noted its existence. The reason for its unique color, although most suspect, it's related to the presence of the microalgae Dunaliella salina. The pale pink color is less noticeable when viewed from the surface, but is very distinct when viewed from above. However, unlike other pink lakes around the world, the lake's water retains its distinctive pink color for several years. Sedlec Ossuary, Czech Republic. Just outside Prague, in a small town called Kutna Hora, lies the world-famous bone church, also known as the Sedlec Bone Church. This place has a very creepy connection inside the bone church, which has gold skull and crossbones decorations on the roof. It houses the remains of 70,000 people, and it's essentially a pile of bones that's been elaborately and exquisitely decorated. In the 14th century, the Black Death spread to Europe, killing many people. Many others died in battles, leading to so many people being buried in this cemetery that it began to become overcrowded. Gathered in the 1800s, each skeleton was stacked by a single woodcarver. These skeletons belong to people who wish to be buried in holy ground. Aokigahara Suicide Forest, Japan. Also known as Aokigahara Jukai, it is a dense forest located at the northwest foot of Mount Fuji. Spanning approximately 13.5 square miles, the forest is renowned for its natural beauty, formed from volcanic eruptions. Despite its peaceful appearance, Aokigahara is notorious as the suicide forest, where many have taken their own lives. It is surrounded by countless natural wonders, further enhancing its mystique and allure. Not only is the vegetation unusually dense, but some areas are so thick that even during heavy rain, you can't feel a single drop. Furthermore, the lava rocks give Aokigahara a strangely tranquil atmosphere. Combine that with the dense vegetation and trees, and you'll have a place that's eerily quiet, but also very easy to get lost in. Mono Lake, Tufa Towers, California. The first thing that catches your eye here isn't the water, but a space so silent you can hear the wind whistling through the rocks. The lake's surface is a deep blue, calm and smooth like a mirror, yet it has a salinity 2 to 3 times that of the ocean. These limestone formations rising from the water resemble abandoned fairy tale castles or giant coral reefs of a dried-up ocean. Formed entirely underwater when calcium-rich freshwater springs combine with carbonate-rich lake water. The lake is characterized by a slight sulfurous smell due to geological activity and bacteria, but you'll soon get used to it. These tufa poles are very fragile, so please walk on the marked trails to help preserve the beauty of this place. It's for souls seeking uniqueness, a touch of solitude, and admiration for the creative power of nature. Blood Falls, Antarctica. It's one of the most sought-after hiking trails, only allowing 64 people or 16 groups to hike each day. It can take years to obtain a permit to hike to this unique location. This is one of the unique trails that crosses rugged landscapes in both Utah and Arizona on the way to the famous Wave Rock. The Wave Trail starts between Kanab, Utah and Page, Arizona, about an hour's drive from each. Also, if you're doing it in the summer, be sure to start early. Bring plenty of water, and temperatures here can reach hundreds of degrees. The Wave, Arizona, USA. The first impression upon seeing the rock formations is one of awe. The Navajo sandstone formations curve rhythmically like ribbons of silk, creating a visual effect despite their complete stillness. Depending on the time of day, the colors shift from burnt orange and vibrant red to pale pink and creamy yellow. The most beautiful moment is at midday, when the sunlight shines vertically, dispelling shadows and illuminating every corner. This place is the hardest to get to in the world, not because of the roads, but because of the entrance fee. The extremely strict lottery system for geological preservation makes holding that permit feel like winning the lottery. And there are no clear trails. You'll have to navigate using GPS and pictorial maps. Just a few missteps on the rocks, and you'll find yourself lost in the sweltering heat of the wilderness. Vinicunca Rainbow Mountain, Peru. Rainbow Mountain is a stunning natural destination located in the Andes Mountains of Peru. The mountain is named after the vibrant colors that adorn its slopes, ranging from red and pink to green, yellow, and blue. Rainbow Mountain is relatively accessible, making it a popular destination for tourists and hikers. If you are looking for tour links, please note this in the description below. This mountain is part of the Ayaditi mountain range areas that are sacred to the indigenous Khitan people. Believed to possess spiritual power, despite their long history, these colorful mountains were only recently discovered in 2013. Previously, they were completely covered in snow, but with the impact of climate change, the true color of the mountain has been revealed. The color is due to the different mineral compositions. Pink comes from red clay, mud sand, and limestone, rich in calcium carbonate. Prepare yourself to notice. A sudden change in air density makes breathing easier. Easter Island, Chile. The first thing you notice upon stepping off the plane at Mataveri Airport isn't the tropical heat, but an eerie silence. As the sun gradually rose behind the 15 colossal statues, their shadows stretched long across the ground. Walking among hundreds of unfinished statues, some buried deep in the ground, felt like being lost in a construction site of giants. Additionally, Anakina Beach is one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen, with its fine white sand. Don't come here if you're looking for the hustle and bustle of luxury resorts. Come with a curious mindset, good walking shoes, and a heart ready to be moved by ancient heritage. Death Valley, U.S. Death Valley is a geological depression located primarily in Inyo County, southeastern California, United States. This is the lowest, hottest, and driest part of the North American continent. Coming here means experiencing a walk across pristine white salt fields cracked into elongated hexagonal shapes. The white color of the salt contrasts sharply with the clear blue sky, creating a perfect backdrop for photography enthusiasts. Don't miss the sunrise here, as the first rays of light touch the undulating mountain ranges, illuminating the entire valley. The landscape here looks more like the surface of another planet than Earth. As the name suggests, the mountains here are pink, green, purple, and yellow due to the oxidation of the minerals. Despite its beauty, Death Valley is not a place to take risks. It offers some truly grueling experiences. At times, temperatures can reach nearly 50 degrees Celsius, feeling like a giant hairdryer is constantly blowing directly into your face. In areas like the Mesquite Flat sand dunes, if you stand still, you can hear your own heartbeat. Stelvio Pass, Italy. It is a famous mountain pass in the Italian Alps, renowned as the highest paved pass in Italy at an altitude of 2,757 meters. It connects the Valtellina Valley in Lombardy with Val Venosta in South Tyrol near the Swiss border. The real challenge begins on the eastern side with a total of 48 curves numbered in reverse order towards the top. Driving here is a skill-based test at every corner. You have to shift to a low-gear brake, hard steer as fast as you can, and pray that no car comes from the opposite direction. To get here, you have to travel through lush green pine forests. When you reach the summit of the pass and look back down the curves you've just navigated, look like a giant coiled snake. That's when you realize why Top Gear once called this the world's greatest driving route. Bayburt-Of Road, Turkey. Connecting Bayburt and Trabzon district is considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world. In addition, there are a total of 2938 hairpin turns, with the classic section being Derebashe Virajlara, 1317 extremely sharp turns. Every time you go around a corner, you have to shift to a very low gear and constantly check your rearview mirror for fear of oncoming traffic. The route features unpaved, gravelly sections that turn oil slick in the rain, often coupled with visibility-killing thick fog. Plan your trip for July or August. In winter and spring, this path is usually closed due to ice and snow. Many call it the Highway to Hell or Turkish Death Road, and it was even once voted the most dangerous road in the world. Actually, with enough experience and a stress-free schedule on a fine day, this drive is perfectly manageable. Los Caracoles Pass, Chile. Often known by its colloquial yet haunting name, Los Caracoles Pass, it lies between the borders of Chile and Argentina. As the vehicle began to enter the Andes from the Chilean side, the first feeling wasn't fear, but awe. Before you lies a gigantic asphalt staircase, winding its way up the sheer cliff face in the middle of unreal places. Why the name The Snail? Because from a bird's eye view, the series of hairpin turns looks exactly like the whirls of a giant snail. The summit of the pass is located at approximately 3,200 meters above sea level. The air thins, the car engine begins to roar more heavily, and your heart races. On the Chilean side, there are 29 consecutive hairpin turns characterized by a lack of protective barriers. A single error could lead to, you know. Zoji La Pass, India. A vital mountain pass situated at a high altitude in the Himalayas of India, connecting the Kashmir Valley with Leh. Famous for its narrow, treacherous roads and spectacular views of snow-capped peaks and valleys. This route is usually closed in winter due to heavy snowfall, but the Department of Highways has extended its opening hours. Mostly dirt roads, gravelly and uneven, barely wide enough for a truck and a car to squeeze past each other. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a bottomless abyss. Only white clouds and occasionally glaciers are visible. A minor landslide left the road covered in fresh rubble. It feels like off-roading instead of being on the highway. Travelers with a fear of heights or a tendency for motion sickness are advised to take a direct flight to Leh instead of traveling by land. Guoliang Tunnel Road, China. As the vehicle begins to enter the Taihang Mountains, the first sensation that overwhelms you is one of awe. Before you lies a colossal limestone wall hundreds of meters high. The Guoliang Tunnel looks like a long, winding crack carved right through the side of the sheer cliff. The tunnel here is only about 5 meters high and 4 meters wide. If two cars were traveling in opposite directions, it would truly be a test of driving skill. The Guoliang Tunnel is not just a driving challenge, but also an emotional journey. You will go from fear and anxiety to overwhelming admiration for the extraordinary labor of humankind. Passage du Gois, France. Located in Vendée, France, it connects the mainland to the island of Noirmoutier and is approximately 4.2 kilometers long. Usually, it just looks like a normal stone road with seawater on both sides and some fishing boats leaning to one side. What's amazing is that it sinks underwater twice a day during high tide. With the water rising 1 to 4 meters, the road vanishes entirely. This makes the road slippery, especially if you're riding a motorbike or bicycle. Furthermore, if you get the timing wrong, the rising tide will cause your car to break down halfway through. It's true there are life rafts you can climb, but who wants to spend time sitting precariously just waiting for the water to recede? Adding to the anxiety is the thick fog or strong winds here, with visibility practically zero. For those who enjoy thrill-seeking and want to experience something different from mountains or deserts, this is a must-visit destination. Take a look at these roads. This is where human courage gets tested. To cross them, you have to gamble with danger at every step. Every single meter becomes an unforgettable experience for anyone who dares to continue. Today, join us as we begin a journey to explore 25 of the most dangerous roads on Earth. Routes so extreme, so unbelievable, you might not even think it's possible for anyone to survive them. Bayburt-Of Road, Turkey. Do you have nerves of steel to navigate these roads this time? And we're in Bayburt-Of Road, Turkey. Dubbed the Road of Death, Turkey's Bayburt D915 has been voted the most dangerous road in the world. This road is about 106 kilometers long, but the most terrible section is at the Zoji La Pass. Here you face 29 hairpin bends so sharp that trucks often cannot navigate them all in one go. What's noteworthy is that this road has no guardrails. Just one small mistake and the car will plunge straight into the abyss. It was built for tourism purposes. It was constructed by the Russian army in 1916 during the war with the Ottoman Empire. North Youngest Road, Bolivia. Due to extremely poor driving conditions, the Youngest Road in Bolivia is nicknamed the Road of Death. This road connects Bolivia's capital La Paz with the lower Yungas region in the Amazon rainforest. To do so, the road must traverse the majestic Cordillera Oriental mountain range. Starting from La Paz, the first Yungas Road climbs to an altitude of 4,650 meters at the La Cumbre Pass. This steep slope of over 3,650 meters is one of the longest continuous downhill stretches in the world. According to some estimates, between 200 and 300 people die on this road each year. Fairy Meadows Road, Pakistan. This road is approximately 16 kilometers long, starting from Raikot Bridge on Karakoram Highway and leading up to Tato village. This is a narrow rocky dirt road carved directly into the side of the mountain by the hands of the local people. There are sections just wide enough for a small convertible jeep, nicknamed the Unreal Places. You can't make a U-turn, you can't avoid oncoming traffic unless one side reverses for kilometers. With unpaved roads made only of gravel and sand, even a light rain or minor landslide can make the surface incredibly slippery. And only experienced local drivers are allowed to drive here. Zoji La Pass, India. When it comes to high mountain passes and treacherous roads, Ladakh in India is the first name that comes to mind. And those familiar with the roads in Ladakh think of Zoji La Pass. Located at an altitude of approximately 3,528 meters, this pass separates the Kashmir Valley from the Dras Valley. It is situated 9 kilometers from Sonamarg and is an important link between Ladakh and Kashmir. Located on National Highway 1 between Srinagar and Leh, this pass is considered the second highest pass after Fotula. Karakoram Highway, Pakistan. To understand the dangers of the Karakoram, we must look at the cost of its construction. Built through a collaboration between Pakistan and China from 1959 to 1979, it is approximately 1,300 kilometers long. There's a famous saying that every kilometer of road costs a life. Around 810 Pakistani and 200 Chinese workers have lost their lives due to landslides, falls into ravines, or mine explosions. Its highest point is the Kunjarab Pass, located at an altitude of 4,693 meters above sea level. This is the world's highest border crossing, where the air is so thin that simply breathing is a challenge. Dalton Highway, Alaska. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline, also known as the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, is one of the northernmost roads in the world. Initially, this road was built to support the development of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline and to serve the oil fields. The first thing to know about the Dalton Highway is that it's not an ordinary highway. If you plan to drive on this road, remember that driving conditions are very difficult year-round and services are extremely limited. The terrain begins with northern forests, crosses the Guoliang Pass in the Brooks Range, and then transitions to Arctic hills and mountains. Typically, the roads are rough in both summer and winter, so it's important to drive a vehicle that's properly equipped for the conditions. Skipper's Canyon Road, New Zealand. If I had to use one phrase to describe driving here, it would be dance on the blade. The road is carved directly into the side of shale, a type of rock that crumbles easily. Not only are you facing a deep abyss right next to your tires, but you also have to worry about rocks that could fall from above. The road is so narrow that two cars going in opposite directions can barely pass each other except for a few rare widening spots. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other is the turbulent shot of a river below. The margin of error here is zero. It's unreal places. Atlantic Ocean Road, Norway. It is a national scenic route where the power of nature and engineering combine to create an unforgettable driving experience. Completed in 1989, after a construction period that endured 12 hurricanes, it stands in contrast to the coastal landscape. The route has many ideal spots for taking photos and is open year-round. Although autumn is particularly impressive when storms can cause strong waves to crash against the seawalls. You can admire the road and the surrounding islands from a boat between Kristiansund and Molde. Guoliang Tunnel Road, China. Before 1972, the village of Guoliang, nestled atop the Taihang Mountains, was almost completely isolated from the world. The only way to reach the village is to climb the Stairway to Heaven, a steep, narrow, and extremely dangerous stone staircase. In 1972, a group of 13 young men from the village decided to undertake a project digging a road through the Rocky Mountain. Because it was carved entirely by hand, the road surface and rock walls are very rough and uneven. The dark tunnel winding along the mountainside creates deadly blind spots for drivers. Stelvio Pass, Italy. The pass is a mountain pass in the Alps, located at the northwestern foot of the Ortles Mountains in northern Italy. One of the highest road passes in Europe, it connects the Venosta Valley in the northeast with the Tolina Valley. The winding road, built between 1820 and 1824, offers spectacular views of the nearby glaciers. With a total of approximately 60 hairpin bends, this road has made it onto the must-visit list for many road trip enthusiasts. It remains important for sports as it is open from May to November. Countless cyclists and motorcyclists struggle to reach the highest point in the Eastern Alps. Leh-Manali Highway, India. Located at an average altitude of over 4,000 meters, the approximately 428-kilometer-long road connects Manali with Leh. This is a strategic lifeline, but also a nightmare for faint-hearted drivers amidst the unreal places. The most dangerous thing here isn't just the sheer cliffs, but the oxygen deprivation syndrome. At an altitude of 5,328 meters, the air is so thin that even a slight movement can make you dizzy. You might start in bright sunshine, but just 30 minutes later, you're caught in a snowstorm, even in the middle of summer. Kishtwar Road, India. Known as the Cliff Road, it is a narrow, notoriously dangerous mountain road in the Himalayas of India. Famous for its sheer cliffs, rugged terrain, and breathtaking scenery. This is a dramatic and high-risk route for adventurous drivers and motorcyclists. A winding mountain trail carved into the cliffs is often only wide enough for one vehicle to pass through. But besides that, it's a major attraction for adventure seekers and off-road enthusiasts. Sichuan-Tibet Highway, China. This is a nightmare for drivers because of the constantly changing terrain from the Sichuan Basin up to the roof of the world. This route requires crossing at least 14 high mountains, including peaks like Guoliang Mountain, which is 5,000 meters high. Ranked among the roads with the highest traffic accident fatalities in the world. This is a classic stretch of road with a series of hairpin bends that drop in altitude from 4,600 meters to 2,800 meters. A small mistake with the braking system here will leave no room for error. During the rainy season, huge rocks can fall at any time, or an entire section of road can disappear after a heavy downpour. Hana Highway, Hawaii. This is a 64.4-mile stretch of road in Hawaii connecting Kahului with the town of Hana, east of Maui. It is notable for its winding, narrow terrain, crossing numerous bridges and sharp bends through tropical forests. Although the distance is relatively short, the journey takes about 2.5 hours due to the rugged terrain. In the 16th century, King Pialani of Maui undertook a major infrastructure project known as the Alaloa Road. The road, constructed from hand-joined basalt slabs, plays a crucial role in facilitating travel and communication throughout the island. Taroko Gorge Road, Taiwan. Located within Taroko National Park, it's famous for its sheer marble cliffs and the turquoise Liwu River flowing below. However, behind that picturesque beauty lies one of the most challenging roads on the planet. The road is carved directly into the cliff face, creating an extremely narrow space, barely wide enough for a bus to pass through. Due to its location in a storm-prone area, heavy rains frequently cause landslides and rockfalls, the biggest threat to tourists. Even a minor earthquake would be enough to turn those massive rocks above into deadly falling objects at any moment. Bayburt Pass, Pakistan. Located in northwestern Pakistan along the border with Afghanistan, this is a historically significant route. It stretches approximately 53 kilometers and reaches an altitude of 1,070 meters at its highest point. The Landi Kotal Fort. This narrow road has long served as a vital link between Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent. Currently controlled by Pakistan, the Bayburt Pass includes both paved roads and caravan routes used by ancient travelers from Persia. In the 1920s, the British built a railway line through the Bayburt Pass, passing through 34 tunnels and crossing 92 bridges. Every day, around 300 trucks carrying weapons and other supplies pass through the Bayburt Pass. Col de la Bonnette, France. If I had to use 3 words to describe this route, they would be epic, solitary, and dangerous. The most distinctive feature that makes it famous is a bypass road, built to push the altitude up to 2,802 meters. Although the road surface is fairly well paved, don't let that fool you. The dangers here are very specific. Unreal Places boasts numerous, extremely sharp hairpin bends with absolutely no guardrails. Just a slight steering error can send you plummeting hundreds of meters into a ravine. '99. Bend Road to Tianmen Mountain, China. Construction of the 99 Curve, skywalk at Zhangjiajie, Tianmen Mountain National Forest Park began in 1998. The project took 7 years to complete at a cost of over 100 million yuan. It was completed and opened to traffic in May 2005. This winding mountain road begins at the foot of the mountain and stretches a total of 10.77 kilometers with 99 sharp hairpin bends. Its elevation is approximately 1,100 meters above sea level. Famous as a wonder and known as one of the 10 most dangerous roads in the world. Guoliang Pass, India. The first terrifying aspect isn't the steepness, but its very name, in ancient Tibetan Rotang, meaning pile of corpses. It stems from the fact that thousands of people in the past lost their lives trying to cross the pass due to sudden snowstorms. This serves as a stark reminder that nature here leaves no room for error. Unlike smooth paved roads, Rotang is frequently covered in a thick layer of mud from melting snow. Sometimes you have to drive across fast-flowing streams, cascading down cliffs onto the road. Guoliang La India. With an altitude of approximately 5,359 meters above sea level, although local signs often state the legendary figure of 5,602 meters. The terrain here consists mostly of rubble-muddy ground from melting snow and sheer cliffs without any barriers. Temperatures can drop to -40 degrees Celsius in winter, and snowstorms can strike at any time, even in the middle of summer. At this altitude, oxygen levels are only about 50% of those at sea level. Altitude sickness can cause disorientation, nausea, and even pulmonary edema. The engine's power is significantly reduced and the braking system is prone to overheating or losing effectiveness due to pressure fluctuations. Trollstigen, Norway. This is the northernmost section of Highway 63 between Åndalsnes and Valdal. This 6-kilometer mountain pass features 11 hairpin bends on a 9% gradient, with the highest point of the pass reaching nearly 850 meters. Due to its narrow width and extremely sharp curves, vehicles longer than 12.4 meters are prohibited from using this road. From the parking lot, it's just a 10-minute walk to an observation deck where you can admire the winding road and the nearby waterfall. After 8 years of construction, it is considered a remarkable feat of Norwegian engineering and construction. Unsurprisingly, it is one of the most visited tourist attractions in Norway. Los Caracoles Pass, Chile. The name Los Caracoles means snail pass in Spanish. The road features a series of sharp curves stacked one on top of the other, like the spirals of a snail shell. The climate is almost year-round, covered in snow and ice, making the roads as slippery as a suspended ice rink. What makes Los Caracoles so dramatic isn't the small passenger cars, but the oversized heavy-duty trucks. This is a vital artery for transporting goods between the two countries. Imagine a container truck tens of meters long, having to make a 180-degree turn on a narrow road with a bottomless abyss beside it. Zoji La Pass, South Africa. Statistically, and in every respect, it is the greatest mountain pass in South Africa, far surpassing all its rivals in terms of distance. Located between KwaZulu-Natal and Lesotho, built around 1950, it remains a challenging trek for four-wheel drive vehicles. With all the drama-spectacular scenery and the inherent treacherous conditions of a mountain pass at an altitude of 2,876 meters. This is a high-altitude mountainous area, so be prepared for bad weather at any time and expect snowfall at the latest. Snow has fallen on this pass in all months of the year, though not in the same year. To access from the west, via Lesotho, head southeast from Makhotlong on the A14 road through the Black Mountain Pass. Ma Pileng Pass, Vietnam. With its location featuring a sheer cliff on one side reaching to the sky and a deep abyss leading straight down. The hairpin bends are so sharp that drivers sometimes feel like they're dancing on the edge of a knife. Thick fog can descend at any moment, turning the road into a treacherous labyrinth of grey rocks. This road was built by tens of thousands of volunteer youth and people from ethnic minorities from 1959 to 1965. At that time, the only tools available were hoes, shovels, crowbars, and explosives. The suicide workers had to hang themselves on the cliff face for a grueling 11 months to chisel away at the rock. Three-level zigzag road, Pakistan, famous for its winding roads in Sikkim. Pakistan boasts picturesque and winding mountain roads, particularly along the Karakoram Highway, leading to places like Naran. With countless winding curves offering exciting driving experiences and breathtaking views of the Himalayas. The famous three-tiered winding road, with its distinctive hairpin bends, is actually located in the Zuluk region of Sikkim. While Pakistan boasts spectacular winding mountain roads, this one bears the iconic features of the Indian Himalayas. Zoji La Pass, Namibia. Located in the remote Kaukaveld region of northwestern Namibia, Zoji La Pass is not a road built by civil engineers. In fact, it is a natural trail filled with boulders, deep ravines, and sheer cliffs. With its treacherous terrain, sharp rocks can cut through tires, and steep slopes pose a constant risk of the vehicle overturning. This mountain pass is named after Ben Van Zyl, a regional official in the 1960s. Ben Van Zyl wanted to connect the remote area with the central government for easier administration. He used the most rudimentary tools, such as hoes, shovels, and even explosives, to carve this road through the Otjihipa mountain range. Gotthard Pass, Switzerland. A mountain pass in the Lepontine Alps in southern Switzerland is an important road and rail route connecting. Although the Romans knew of this pass, it was not widely used as a route through the Alps until the early 13th century. A long, winding highway leads through the St. Gotthard Pass. Below the pass lies the old area. The St. Gotthard Tunnel, built between 1872 and 1880, stretches over 14 kilometers and reaches a maximum elevation of 1,150 meters. A railway line runs through this tunnel, connecting Lucerne, Switzerland, with Milan. This line includes several spiral tunnels in the Reuss and Ticino river valleys. IRS Highway, Australia, spanning approximately 1,675 kilometers. It connects South Australia and Western Australia. This is the only road that crosses the Nullarbor Plain, a region whose name in Latin means without trees. When you drive for hours on end on a straight road with no obstacles or turns, your brain enters a state of automation. Drivers are very likely to fall asleep with their eyes open or lose their ability to react in unexpected situations. Our highway is not for dream drivers. It's a true test of mental fortitude. BR-116, Brazil. It is a Brazilian federal highway running along the country's coast. At 4,385 kilometers long, it is Brazil's second longest highway, running from north to south, almost parallel to the coastline. This road is the cause of thousands of fatal traffic accidents every year. With its terrible road surface, bad weather conditions, and frequent hazards due to its proximity to cliffs, it's hardly surprising. Furthermore, police patrols are infrequent, and drivers are frequently attacked by gangs and armed robbers. Luxor Al Hurghada Road, Egypt. It connects two of Egypt's most famous tourist destinations, the ancient capital of Luxor and the Red Sea resort city of Hurghada. Geographically, it's a smooth, flat stretch of asphalt crossing a vast desert. It's been dubbed one of the world's most dangerous roads, not because of potholes, but because of the rules of the night. Local drivers have a habit of driving at high speeds at night, but with their headlights completely off. They believe this helps them avoid detection by robbers or simply allows them to see better in the moonlight. Canning Stock Route, Australia. Originally created by Albert Canning in 1908 to help cattle ranchers in the Kimberley transport their livestock to markets. Stretching 2,013 kilometers from Halls Creek to Wiluna and encompassing approximately 51 water wells. The Canning Stock Route is currently one of the world's most remote and challenging four-wheel drive routes. Those wishing to conquer this route need to be extremely well prepared before departure. Experience traveling in remote areas is essential, along with a reliable and well-functioning vehicle specifically prepared for long journeys. Kampala-Kisoro Road, Uganda. The winding road through the Kigezi Mountains will present you with continuous hairpin turns on steep cliffs. Due to the high altitude, dense fog frequently blankets the roads in the early morning, reducing visibility to almost zero. Local residents recount that every bend on this road is associated with tragic accidents in the past. Previously traveling from Kibale to Kisoro could take an entire day because vehicles frequently broke down on the slopes. The danger of Kibale-Kisoro no longer lies in potholes or muddy terrain as before, but in the psychological aspect. Zoji La Pass, India. Located at an impressive altitude of 5,360 meters above sea level, Zoji La is the main gateway to Pangong Tso Lake. It is the world's third highest road accessible to motor vehicles. The name Zoji La means South Pass because at this altitude, the amount of oxygen in the air is only about half that of sea level. Soldiers and drivers passing through here without stopping to pay respects or ask for blessings from this saint will encounter bad luck. It creates a strange spiritual atmosphere in this arid land where people feel insignificant before the gods and nature. If you want to find your limits, focus on the handlebars when climbing the Zoji La slope. Mana Pass, India. A high pass in the Himalayas in Uttarakhand, India, marks the border with Tibet, China. Known as one of the world's most accessible points by motor vehicles, it is located near the villages of Mana and Badrinath. With a road built by the Frontiers Organization for military use, it requires a special permit for visitors. This is only necessary for ordinary citizens issued by SDM Joshimath, along with identification and vehicle registration papers. It's best to visit during the warmer months, as the area is often covered in snow for much of the year. North Coast Road, Mauritius. This isn't a modern highway, it's a test of both mental fortitude and driving skill. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a deep abyss, stretching straight out to the Indian Ocean. This road is famous for its sharp hairpin turns so steep you feel like the back of your car is about to fly out into the sea. Sudden tropical downpours turn the road surface into a slippery battleground, while fog can obscure visibility in just seconds. Locals say that this road was built during the colonial period, originally intended as a trail for horse-drawn carriages. Cotopaxi, Volcano Road, Ecuador's part of Ecuador's stunning Volcano Avenue. A route along the Trans-American Highway offers breathtaking views. One of the world's highest active volcanoes, along with opportunities for hiking. However, accessing the higher points requires four-wheel drive vehicles and adaptability due to the altitude and harsh conditions. This area is very high, so acclimatization, appropriate equipment, and hydration are crucial. Highway routes can be challenging, posing risks of strong winds, bad weather, and thin air that can affect vehicle performance. A 537 Cat and Fiddle UK. This is a road in England, located between Buxton and named after the Cat and Fiddle Inn pub. Formed from sections of the A537, A54, and a 53, this road is famous for its spectacular views of the Greater Manchester urban area. It is extremely popular with motorcyclists and is often ranked as the most dangerous road in the UK. The route can be considered to begin in Buxton at the intersection of the A53 and the A5004 Long Hill. It follows the A53 through the western suburbs of Buxton until it turns right onto the A54 at Ladmanlow. Kolyma Highway, Russia. The story of the Kolyma Highway begins during the Stalin era, a project connecting Magadan with Yakutsk for resource exploitation. The road was built by hundreds of thousands of prisoners from the Gulag labor camps. In extreme working conditions, lacking food and rudimentary tools, tens of thousands perished. Because the permafrost was too hard to dig deep graves, the bodies of the deceased were buried directly beneath the surface. The road slopes steeply from the surface and is surrounded by dry stone walls for almost the entire length of the road.